on this edition for Saturday, September 1st.
We never doubted the other man's sincerity or the other man's patriotism, or that when all was said and done, we were on the same team.
Political rivals unite to offer final farewells honoring Senator John McCain. And some updates from our series Chasing the Dream, Poverty and Opportunity in America. Next on PBS NewsHour Weekend.
From the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center in New York, Hari Sreenivasan.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. It was a day devoted to the memory of United States Senator John McCain, a Republican nominee for president, a prisoner of war, a decorated Navy pilot, and the son and grandson of Navy admirals. America's political leadership, with the exception of the current president, gathered with the McCain family to honor the man and his service to country. The casket bearing Senator McCain's body was carried from the Capitol this morning after lying in state there yesterday. The procession to Washington, D.C.'s National Cathedral included a stop at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, where the senator's widow, Cindy McCain, placed a wreath honoring her husband and his fellow veterans. More than 2,000 politicians, family, friends, and members of the military attended the invitation-only service. President Donald Trump was not invited and was seen leaving the White House, presumably headed for his Virginia golf course during the funeral service. The 2.5-hour service was filled with music, prayers,
we commend your servant John,
and personal remembrances.
My father is gone. John Sidney McCain III was many things.
His daughter, Meghan McCain, kept with the senator's reputation as a political maverick who was not afraid to criticize members of his own Republican Party.
We gather here to mourn the passing of American greatness. The real thing, not cheap rhetoric from men who will never come near the sacrifice he gave so willingly. The America of John McCain has no need to be made great again because America was always great.
Before his death last weekend from brain cancer, John McCain planned much of today's ceremony, inviting former Presidents Bush and Obama to speak.
Perhaps above all, John detested the abuse of power, could not abide bigots and swaggering despots.
We never doubted the other man's sincerity or the other man's patriotism, or that when all was said and done, we were on the same team. So much of our politics, our public life, our public discourse can seem small and mean and petty. Trafficking in bombast and insult and phony controversies and manufactured outrage. It's a politics that pretends to be brave and tough, but in fact is born of fear. John called on us to be bigger than that. He called on us to be better than that.
Senator McCain will be laid to rest tomorrow at the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. Watch the full service honoring Senator John McCain on our website, pbs.org/newshour. We've been bringing you stories over the last year as part of our ongoing series on poverty and opportunity in America, Chasing the Dream, and want to bring you some updates in this program. Back in May, we reported on the Trump administration's proposal to change many social safety net programs by expanding work requirements as a condition for receiving benefits. NewsHour Weekend's Megan Thompson went to Maine, one state which already had some requirements in place and was being credited with providing a template for the administration's proposal.
In a rural pocket of Maine, east of Augusta, 50-year-old Tim Keefe lives in a Spartan two-room trailer without a bathroom or even running water. A Navy veteran, he's single and has 2 grown daughters.
We don't need too much refrigeration this time of year. But
his only income is about $200 a month in food stamps.
You're not eating like a king, but you're eating, so that's the important part.
But not too long ago, things were even more difficult for Keefe. He was working at a manufacturing plant when he suffered a wrist injury that required multiple surgeries. He lost his job and then his home.
In here, this is where I spent last winter.
For a time, Keefe lived in a small tent warmed by an electric heater. Adding to the hardship, Keefe had no access to food stamps. That's because beginning in 2014, if you were under 50 and you weren't caring for children, Maine started enforcing a 3-month time limit on food stamps, unless you were working 20 hours a week, volunteering, or in a job training program. Keefe could do none of those things with his injured wrist, and he was under 50.
You wake up in the morning, you're a caveman. You got to go find food. You got to gather. You got to hunt, you know.
Keefe estimates he lost 40 pounds during the 10 months he went without food benefits. Then he turned 50 last May and became eligible again for food stamps, also known as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP.
The SNAP program is a lifeline. It really is.
It is not in the best interest of anyone to just simply hand out a check.
Mary Mayhew was the commissioner of Maine's Department of Health and Human Services from 2011 to 2017 under Republican Governor Paul LePage. She says the state was ripe for reform when she took over administration of its safety net programs.
The department had truly lost sight of its core mission. Success was defined by the number of people coming on to welfare rather than the number of individuals who were on that pathway to self-sufficiency and independence.
Under Mayhew, Maine looked at the wage records of nearly 7,000 adults without dependents, people like Tim Keefe, in the 1 year after food stamp benefits were cut off.
Individuals left food stamps, went back to work, and their incomes increased by over 114%. They were earning more than the federal poverty level, exactly the goal that we certainly hoped for as we incentivized and prioritized work.
And the Trump administration has taken notice. Citing Maine's changes to its SNAP program, in April, President Trump signed an executive order directing federal agencies to strengthen and introduce work requirements. Mayhew, meanwhile, has left her position in Health and Human Services to run for governor in the Republican primary. She's also consulted with the Trump administration about Maine's experience with work requirements.
I'm incredibly proud that Maine is seen as a model.
Maine is not a model. It's a cautionary tale.
Chris Hasted is the public policy director for Maine Equal Justice Partners, an advocacy group representing low-income Mainers.
For those who argue that these so-called reforms are effective in helping to raise families out of poverty and improve their ability to support their families, it's just not happened.
Hasted notes that the same study on food stamp changes in Maine touted by Mayhew and the Trump administration is not all positive.
2/3 of people that had been terminated still did not have employment. That's about the same that didn't have employment at the beginning of the year. But now, at the end of the year, they had neither wages nor food assistance.
She says forcing people to work ignores the barriers often faced by many low-income people.
Jobs aren't available, or the hours aren't available, or transportation isn't available, or childcare isn't available. But none of those factors are considered in these inflexible policies that say you either work 20 hours a week or you don't get food.
Hasted also points to federal data showing that since 2011, Maine has seen food insecurity, which measures access to food, increase by nearly 9%, while the national level has declined by about 11%.
This is just part of this ideological march toward a policy that is not going to be effective and is only going to create more hardship for people who are impacted by it. That's what we've seen here in Maine, and that's what we would expect to see from a similar policy in Medicaid.
Medicaid, which provides health care for low-income Americans, is jointly administered by states and the federal government. Last year, Maine asked the federal government to add work requirements to Maine's Medicaid program. Ricker Hamilton is the state's current Commissioner of Health and Human Services, which oversees Medicaid in Maine. He supports adding work requirements to the program, which is known as Maine Care.
It might be good to get you set up with a pulmonologist now that you have Maine Care.
Dr. Renee Fay-LeBlanc is the Chief Medical Officer at Greater Portland Health, where about 35% of its nearly 11,000 patients are on MaineCare.
MaineCare is important for people to be able to get to the place where they can work, provide for their families.
Maine estimates that eligibility for MaineCare will decline as a result of the new work requirements. Dr. Faye LeBlanc says the consequences for losing access to MaineCare can be life and death.
I had a patient who did not have MaineCare. He was having a lot of symptoms that hadn't been explained yet or diagnosed, and yet he refused to go to the hospital because he didn't want to rack up more medical debt. And that patient died last year. And I firmly believe that if he had had access to MaineCare and could have gotten his medications and a real thorough workup for the symptoms that he was experiencing, he wouldn't have died.
Maine today is considered an absolute national leader.
Mary Mayhew has made the changes she oversaw in Maine's social safety net programs a pillar of her campaign for governor. She says asking able-bodied recipients of SNAP benefits or MaineCare to work is not about shrinking the programs or punishing those who need help.
This is not about saving money or being punitive. It is about recognizing that work and employment restores human dignity. I am far more concerned about the tendency of these programs to cast a wide net and trap people than I am that someone is going to fall through the cracks.
Since this report aired in May, the House of Representatives passed an update to the Farm Bill in June that expanded the number of adults who would be required to work in order to receive SNAP benefits. The passage was cheered by President Trump, who tweeted, "So happy to see work requirements included." In Maine, Mary Mayhew, who was featured in our segment, lost her primary in the run for governor, and the state is still awaiting approval from the Federal Health and Human Services Department to add work requirements for Medicaid benefits. Kentucky, the first state to have its work requirements for Medicaid recipients approved, was sued by Medicaid recipients in the state. A federal judge ruled that the mandate was, quote, arbitrary and capricious, and vacated that approval. That decision could have repercussions for multiple states that have submitted similar requests for work requirements. For more, I spoke recently with Sarah Rosenbaum, a professor of health law and policy at George Washington University Milken Institute School of Public Health. Sarah Rosenbaum, thanks for joining us. So let's first talk about Kentucky. It was poised to be the first state in the country to add work requirements for some Medicaid recipients, but just days before taking effect, a judge blocked the new rules. Why?
Kentucky's proposal, like the proposals in other states, really boiled down to removing people from Medicaid. The state by itself projected a 15% drop in Medicaid beneficiaries, and what the judge said was, you haven't shown us how an experiment on the poor that removes tens of thousands of people from the Medicaid program furthers the objections of the Medicaid program, so you haven't done your job under the law. You have to go back and explain why removing coverage from people furthers the objectives of Medicaid.
All right, let's talk a little bit about that word experiment. Are 50 states allowed to basically have 50 different experiments on what could and what could not work? And in this case, what could and what could not be sued to stop?
Medicaid does not, except in one very particularized circumstance, allow a state to impose work requirements. So, in order to conduct a work experiment, and I use the word experiment quite literally here, the federal government has to turn to a different provision of law, one that actually predates Medicaid itself. And so in order to use this special authority, which has been around for 55 years now, the Secretary is essentially no longer approving a state program under the Medicaid statute. He's approving it as an experiment.
You know, there's going to be people that look around and say, look, we have historically low unemployment. What's the harm in adding work requirements to getting this incredible benefit of health care?
In fact, the unemployment rates, as you point out, are historically low. The vast majority of poor people work look for work. The nature of labor in a low-wage market, which is where low-income adults are, obviously, is that it comes in cycles. You may get more hours, you may get fewer hours, you may be called in for time or get laid off for a while. You may be a seasonal worker. And so there's a normal fluctuating to and fro, and any effort that can be made to help people who are in low-wage jobs, who need skills training, who need help finding work, is a wonderful thing. And the results of voluntary work programs are actually quite strong. What is a real head-scratcher here from a policy point of view is why you would ever threaten people's health insurance coverage over this, when there is no evidence, in fact, that more than the smallest handful of low-income people just don't work and don't want to work and have no reason not to work. To put at risk people's coverage simply because they can't report in their monthly hours clocked at work, when in fact there's a tiny handful of people who, are the proverbial needles in the haystack, is, I think, what makes the whole enterprise so irrational and, frankly, so inhumane.
All right, Sarah Rosenbaum, a professor of health law and policy at George Washington University. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Student loans are the second largest cause of personal debt for Americans, next to home mortgages. For baby boomers over the age of 60, student loan debt is growing faster than any other age group, as parents and grandparents help finance the education of their children and grandchildren. Last October, PBS NewsHour Weekend's Megan Thompson reported on how the nation's $1.4 trillion student loan debt burden is putting the financial stability of baby boomers in jeopardy.
Nancy Couquet works at a community college in Maryland, coordinating technical education programs. She's worked in education most of her career and loves her job. But at 65 years old, she'd imagined retiring by now.
I can't afford to retire. I could never make the payments.
Payments for student loans she took out for her son Andrew about a decade ago. She pays around $500 a month on the nearly $75,000 she owes on loans she took out and others she co-signed with her son. By her math, she'll probably be paying on her loans alone for another 11 years.
Even if I started drawing on my retirement and Social Security together, I still wouldn't have enough monthly to make those payments. It's certainly not where I hope to be at this stage in life.
The number of Americans age 60 and older with student loan debt quadrupled between 2005 and 2015 to nearly 3 million. And the average amount they owe has nearly doubled, from about $12,000 to almost $24,000.
Student loans are structured to be paid over a very long period of time. They have no statute of limitations, which means that they follow you. They can follow you till you die, literally.
Attorney Persis Yu directs the Student Loan Borrower Assistance Project at the National Consumer Law Center in Boston.
There are a lot of borrowers who are out there who still have their own student loan debts from the 70s, from the 80s.
I think originally it was like $27,000.
64-year-old Annette Pillais of Boston is still paying about $300 a month for the loan she took out 20 years ago to pursue graduate degrees in American Studies, a loan she expects to be paying for another 10 years. She worked for nonprofits serving children and the elderly, but her income never reached the level she'd hoped.
I'm making now what I made in the 80s. I'm making about $42,000 a year.
Folks with student loan debt typically save less than folks without student loan debt. And then once they're in retirement, if they are repaying loans, certainly that is a liability that they wouldn't otherwise have to pay for when they're on a fixed and limited income.
Like Pillais, 27% of older Americans with student loans borrowed for their own education. But most, more than 70%, borrowed for their children's or grandchildren's education. People like Nancy Couquet. Couquet, who's divorced, took out about $46,000 in her name and co-signed for around $34,000 more with her son Andrew, who graduated from the University of South Carolina in 2008.
I entered into that now, in hindsight, without nearly enough information.
Kouquet obtained about half of the $46,000 she borrowed for her son's education through a federal loan program called Parent Plus. The number of Parent Plus borrowers has grown by 60% since 2005 to 3.5 million Americans. The National Consumer Law Center says some families can borrow more than they can afford under Parent Plus because the program lets them borrow as much as the college says they need without verifying their income.
So, there is some very minimal counseling that is required when folks take out federal loans. The other component is a lot of these families don't have a lot of other options because education is expensive. So a lot of families feel trapped and they feel like they have to take out this because they want to provide for their kids and they want their kids to have a better future.
And that's exactly what Nancy Kouquet wanted for her son. She says she wasn't too worried about Andrew's ability to pay off his loans once he graduated.
I kept telling him, and I thought this would be true, is this degree will give you a career that you can pay that off. Turns out not to be the case.
In the meantime, Nancy says the loan payments are weighing her down.
It governs everything I do, every decision I make. It all revolves around making sure that I have that money to make that payment every single month.
Nancy has consolidated and gotten slightly lower interest rates on some of the loans, but she expects she'll need to work part-time after she retires. And she's also considering moving to Montana, where the cost of living is cheaper.
My life isn't going to be the way that I'd hoped that it would be.
Since our segment aired, there have been efforts to relieve some of the challenges of growing student loan debt. Currently, there are multiple categories of repayment programs under the Federal Family Education Loan Program. The Trump administration is proposing to create a single income-driven repayment plan. And student loan borrowers who are in bankruptcy might see some changes in the future. The Department of Education announced earlier this year that it is evaluating whether student loan debt is eligible for discharge during bankruptcy. Any guidance or changes by the Department of Education to bankruptcy law would have to be approved by Congress.
This is PBS NewsHour Weekend, Saturday.
For years, StoryCorps has been recording and sharing real experiences from people who have extraordinary stories to tell. In this animated short, Noe Rueda tells his high school teacher Alex Fernandez about his childhood growing up poor in Chicago and about his entrepreneurial efforts to help his family make ends meet.
My mother, she would actually make under $8,000 a year. And if she reached the $8,000, she would actually be happy that she made that much. So I would literally go outside my house, put all my products there and sell them. I didn't make much. Little money I made, I gave it to my mom. The first time I remember she was cooking and I came up to her and I told her, "Mom, I know you don't have money, so here's $15 I made." She turned off the stove, she turned around, started crying and hugged me. From that point on, I just dedicated on getting money for my family.
How did you make that money?
So I actually started helping in a construction site, and this was in 5th grade. It was bad on my bones. I have bad shoulders, bad knees for all the stuff I was carrying.
When you were younger, did you realize kind of like, hey, this isn't normal or this isn't what other people go through?
Well, I always knew I was poor, but remember one time in particular, my shoes were all scraped up. So I got paint and I painted them white. Some kid fell and tripped in front of my shoes. I noticed it and he pointed out and laughed. And that's when it hit me really hard. Like, I'm actually poorer than I thought.
How's your first semester of college been?
Things are great. I just think about it like being the first one to go to college and my whole family of over 50 of us. That's my biggest motivation.
I'm really proud of you that you went this far. And I just want to have you come back in like 10 years, dressed really sharp, you know, in like
nice
a
shoes.
suit, and nice shoes, and finally have a pair of shoes that you haven't painted. And I want you to get everything you've ever wanted.
We leave you with a performance by opera star Renee Fleming at today's funeral service for Senator John McCain.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling.
Fleming said she was incredibly touched that before his death last weekend, John McCain personally asked for her to sing the Irish ballad at his funeral service. That's all for this edition of PBS NewsHour Weekend. I'm Sreenivasan. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.